on around the entire genre. And today it's going to be kind of shitty, to be honest with you. I guess I shouldn't cuss that early. Now we're YouTube demonetized, so never mind. No one's going to hear it anyway. So, but anyway, yeah, it's going to be a weird episode today. We'll get through it. We'll talk about everything that's going on. I feel like as an FPS podcast, we're kind of obligated to. Before we went live, I'm talking about the Dr. Disrespect stuff. I was talking, Buff was messaging Blue and I in the chat. It's like, man, we really don't want to talk about it. And then this stuff happened like right before we went live, and it's like, all right, we pretty much have to talk about it. So we will get into that today. There's a couple games that were canceled that I hate to say I told you so, but I told you so. There's some Battlefield rumors out there, and Delta Force is hype with some new stuff we saw on some guns. And Buff can break that down for us. I do want to talk about, well, let's get things out of the way first. I'm one of your co-hosts, Crash. I'm joined by Buff and Blue. What's up, man?
Hola.
What's going on? Hello.
Sorry, I got going. I needed to slow down.
Yeah, he's ready to go. He's ready to go.
I am hyped up, ready to go.
You know, I'm gonna start it backwards. How was your weekend, Crash? What did you do this weekend?
Hey, I appreciate that. I had a good week, man. We went to the ranch from. If you guys follow my Twitch streams and stuff, I talk about it all the time. People probably sick of hearing it, even on this show too. But we went out there, a little family getaway, out in the middle of nowhere, and it was awesome, dude. We saw it's really green down there. It's usually pretty arid, but they got enough rain. It's like super green. It was really pretty. We saw a bunch of quail, mule deer, whitetail deer. We saw some mule deer with fawns, so population's looking good for mule deer. Went down to the fishing hole, could see like bluegill and bass swimming around, and yeah, man, I'm ready. Especially in light of what we're going to talk about today. I was telling these guys before we were live, it's like when I move there, I might completely unplug from the internet. It'll be tempting to do. And then the coolest thing, the last night we were there, my wife and I were going to come home on Friday, but we decided to stay one more day because we felt like we just got there and we didn't want to leave. And that evening, looking out the living room window, we saw a cow elk outside, like a few hundred yards away, but still, like seeing a cow elk was like in Oklahoma. It was like, dude, that's so sick. So it was awesome. I didn't want to come back. I missed.
I saw like your tweet. Like I was like, I almost didn't come back.
I was like, how can I swing this and just like stay here? Like, can I live off the land? Like maybe, but like.
Crash has been lost to the land. We'll probably never see him again.
It could have happened. Yeah. I feel like if it would have just been me, I really might have done it, but like with family and stuff, we got to keep going forward down the right avenues to get to our goals here. But yeah, man, it was a good weekend of touching grass. Came back, we did it. I had the most unhinged streams of my life yesterday. I did a trucking stream during the day, and the song requests were outrageous, like weird songs I didn't know existed. I had song requests turned on. Chat was devolving into debauchery. It was like DJ Hour over there. It was hilarious. And then we did custom S&D last night. So we had 12 community members that showed up.
Yeah, how did that go out? Yeah, I was wondering what you guys were going to do after. Okay.
Yeah, we did it, man. It was wild. We had custom S&D, so it was pretty fun.
Awesome.
But yeah,
nice.
How about you guys?
Nice. Let's see. I don't know. What did you do, Buff?
Okay. What did I do? I was at the lake all weekend. Got a lot of sun. I don't know if you guys can tell with the current lighting, but I'm pretty well lit now. But yeah, I'm way darker than I was like last week. So got a lot of sun. Got a really good tan going on. Just did some grilling, some fishing. So it was a good time, man. Really good time. Watched the hockey game Friday night. I'm going to do the same tonight. Go Oilers. And yeah, pretty chill weekend.
Yeah, we got to get through all this stuff today so Buck can catch the Oilers game. What were you saying since the 40s?
Yeah, so it's the first time a hockey team has come back from a 3-0 series deficit in the Cup to force a Game 7 since 1945. And if they can win, it'd be the first time a team has come back from a 3-0 series deficit to win the Stanley Cup since 1942. So history's already kind of been made, but hopefully they can continue it tonight. I don't want to jinx anything, but they have very good momentum. They're playing really, really well. I think they're playing in Florida tonight, but Florida's kind of been very not knowing what to do the past 3 games. So
was gonna say yeah, Florida, but I don't watch hockey, so.
I've tried several times to get into it, but I can't get into it. I don't know.
It feels
why.
like a sport I should get into.
Dude,
It's like right up my alley. It's you know.
It's really good, man. I don't know what it is. Like, I just, the past 2 years specifically, especially this year, I just got really, really into it. So I'm like,
I always just
I'm
didn't like
gung-ho with it.
look at that sport only because I'm in Florida. I was like, why would I care about a sport that's on ice? Like,
Well, what I
Yeah.
don't get is what the ice rinks looked like in the 40s. Like, did they just have to move it to Antarctica to play? Like, I don't understand what
I'm
that
sure
would
that
look like.
I think that they must have had ice rinks,
I
right?
don't-
Back
like-
then. They definitely did.
I guess so. I
Not
mean, they had
as
to.
they
Right
I
on
think
the
they had
lake.
like dedicated, yeah, right. They probably had dedicated like stadiums specifically for that though. Instead of nowadays, they just like convert whatever stadiums and then put the rinks in there. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's sweet what they can do with that. I wish I liked hockey a lot too from the sports betting standpoint. I feel like there's always games going on and there's tons of stuff to bet on. Like,
No, they have a really long season, man.
Yeah.
The season lasts from October till end of June now. So they have a really really long season.
I wish I could get into it because then I could sports bet like all the time. It would be great. Now I just have to bet on live ping pong, and that doesn't always go well for me.
Yeah, there you go.
It's a thing. It is a thing. How about you, Blue? What'd you get into? The problem, okay, I want to call this out first. It could be confusing for our viewers because it's confusing for me because I'm calling blue blue, but Buff's screen is very blue. And
Yeah, my screen is blue today.
There's blue going on. But what's up?
Yeah.
What did you get into, Blue?
nah, just pretty chill Saturday and just pretty much basic, just grocery shopping on Saturday. Just chilling more only because I am taking a flight out to Texas here on Wednesday. I'll be there till Friday. So it's my first time going to Texas, like officially, because like the first time I went to Texas, I had a layover in Dallas. Yeah, in the Dallas Fort Worth airport. So I never really got to see Texas. So I'm excited to kind of get a little taste of Texas. I want to, try some food. I heard there's a museum where I'm at. I might see Blackout, hopefully. That'd be dope
nice.
if I can get a chance to see Blackout.
That's
So yeah. He's, so I think he's in San Antonio right now. Sorry, I just doxed you, but it's fine.
There's a few people in San Antonio. It might be hard to find him.
Yeah, San Antonio's got a lot of big creators as well too. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see if I have time. I forget how big of a state Texas is. Like, yeah, I'll drive by and it's like a 3.5 hour drive. Like, I got a rental car, but damn, dude, like my hotel's all the way back here. I'd have to drive there, eat lunch, and drive back, and it'd be a lot of driving. So we'll see.
Yep.
We'll see.
Now Texas
But
is pretty
I'm excited.
awesome.
I'll bring my cowboy hat.
Hey, I'll put mine
I'll fit
on
right in.
now. Yeah, nice.
Pretty chill though. Pretty chill.
I guess we gotta chill. Weekends aren't bad. I kind of miss those.
It had to be
lately.
chill because I know. Yeah. So, we'll see.
All right, guys. So we have an awkward topic to talk about today. I think it would be good to preface this conversation with the fact that we as hosts of the Scope, as well as 99.99% of people in the entire world, think that people that try to engage with devious acts with minors should probably get the death penalty. So and that's, I guess I might be overstepping my bounds, but that's how I feel. I think
Agreed.
I think people that are in that are even worse than cheaters, and you guys know how I feel about cheaters.
I mean,
But
I can
also
say, yeah, go ahead, Will.
no, because I definitely everything is innocent until proven guilty. Got to preference that as well too.
Right?
So there's still something going on in the background. I don't know exactly. We'll talk about it a little bit more, but yeah, just know that we hate those kind of people. Whichever is fine, but also everyone's innocent until proven guilty. So just letting you know. And we wouldn't be talking. I'm gonna say this as well too. We wouldn't be talking about this if it didn't have any effect on a game studio that is specifically building and making an FPS game.
Mm-hmm.
So that was kind of the main reason why we were like, at first I was like, I even said it in our little chat. I didn't want to talk about it. I didn't think it was really worth. And then last second, all of a sudden, just There it is. All right. Let's talk about it. So
Yeah.
Yeah, man. It's so wild. I'll try to do like a really quick synopsis of a background of what happened for those of you who don't know. I feel like everybody does, so I'll try to be quick about it. You guys know that Dr. Disrespect was banned back in 2020 from Twitch. We never found out why that was. We didn't know exactly why. Then over the weekend, a former employee of Twitch, it's confirmed that they're a former employee, basically said, I'm paraphrasing here, that he was banned because he was talking to a minor and trying to meet up with a minor via Twitch whispers. So DMing on Twitch. That seems weird. Like, this whole thing is odd and weird. And then it got to kind of a fever pitch from that. And then there was some questions raised on that person's credibility because tweets were shown of that I'll call it the whistleblower, I guess, where they were trying to get people to show up to their band show. Like this guy had a band and he was trying to say, hey, if you show up to the show, I'll tell you why Doc got banned. Like, just some weird scummy crap like that, like completely. And like that raises a whole bunch of questions about that guy too. Like, if he actually believed that Doc was engaging with a minor, why would he make jokes and use that to bring people to a show like that? Like, it's just, it's just like the degeneracy of this whole thing is like, it is outrageous. So then Twitch came out and said, you know, they were banned because of community guidelines. And then Dr. Disrespect tweeted over the weekend, he said essentially that there was no wrongdoing. Twitch paid the contract. And that's pretty much like no wrongdoing was acknowledged. And then the other thing I guess we should say is that Cody Connors was the guy that tweeted the first thing. He said he was sexting a minor, which sexting a minor and like trying to meet up with a minor are like two different levels of bad. They're both bad, but like unsolicited sexual pictures to a minor is like an extra step worse. But he said case
let's
was
just be
closed.
clear though, let's just be clear, that's jail time no matter where you are.
Is it though?
NDAs, none of, yeah. Nudes to minors and trying to meet up is jail time.
Okay. Because my understanding of the legal system is that that person would still have to press charges. And if Dr. Disrespect paid their family a shitload of money, then they might not press charges. Like, I thought that stuff.
Yeah. So I guess I'll walk that back and say there was something around me that happened like, I don't know, 10 years ago where like someone local was Snapchatting with a minor and met up with them and then was arrested after meeting up with them. So I'm sure it's probably state by state, but yeah, I think you would have to probably meet with them. But so much context there that we would need to look at it, you know, in those situations regardless.
Yep. And then I'm trying to make sure like I follow along with this. Then there's also the weird, well, we'll get to that a little bit. And then he said, Dr. Disrespect went on to elaborate. He said he's tied to legal obligations from the settlement, but I just need to say, since I can't, because it's the fucking internet, I didn't do anything wrong. All this has been probed and settled. Nothing illegal. No wrongdoing was found, and I was paid. Elden Ring Monday. So today he streamed on Elden Ring. And we'll get into the stream a little bit as well, because it ended incredibly weird too. It ended almost reminiscent of his last Twitch stream, where it appears that he got an odd message and his demeanor changed, and he talks about leaving indefinitely from streaming and stuff. Which we'll circle back.
We'll circle back to that.
Yeah, we'll come back to that too. And then there's just there's a few other people, and I'm talking about this along with what Blue said, where we're talking about innocent until proven guilty. I'm just trying to cover both sides of this thing. I know it's weird that somebody's talking on the internet and not immediately taking a side. We'll get into that as well, but I'm just trying to cover what's going on right now.
Not raise pitchforks.
Pick a side, you fence rider. So what was the other one? On June 23rd, a separate former Twitch employee corroborated some of the claims made by Connors. They remained anonymous. Said that Dr. Respect used whispers to exchange messages with a minor and initiate a conversation about meeting up at TwitchCon. It just seems so weird. Then Robert Bowling, so you guys know he goes by 402 on Twitter, is the creative strategist at Infinity Ward. He's now the head of Midnight Society, which is the studio that Dr. Disrespect started to create the game Dead Drop. He said that he had just become aware of the allegations and was quote unquote dealing with it. So they were working through that. And then at 1 a.m. the day after, so then this starts to have other things kind of add up, right? So back when he did get banned, Rod Slatcher Breslau, who is a journalist who I would put near the same podium as like a Jason Schreier, really well known and pretty trustworthy, said, for several hours now, I've been told from credible sources the reason for Dr. Disrespect has been banned. However, due to the importance and sensitivity around the subject, I've refrained from going on it. I don't feel comfortable with it currently. And that could, the sensitive nature of what happened, as well as maybe he didn't have the proof to talk about it at that point, right? Like if you accuse somebody of that and say something, like you should have proof. And that's another recurring theme that we're going to see throughout this as well. So he said, but then when this tweet came out over the weekend, he said, I didn't lie. So you could take that cryptic tweet again, how you wanted to. Like he knew and it was sensitive. So he said he didn't lie. People are taking that.
All of it just seems so weird, man.
Dude, it is. It's bizarre. Like it's so bizarre. And then I'm trying to make sure what else. Then yeah, we talked about how he was trying to fill seats for his band. Then he talked about today kind of like apologizing for that. Basically, I don't even want to read it because like the way this guy types is like this guy speaks weird. Like people write on the side of trains with graffiti. Like I don't, it's weird how he talks, but at the end he says he knows Jake is racing to verify a screenshot and he talks about an enforcement ID. So like a case number at Twitch. Basically he said, he didn't get sued because he didn't name anybody, right? Everyone in this thing so far, you can't really get sued for defamation if it's either accurate or if you don't name a name, and they haven't named a name. They're just saying why so-and-so got banned. Like and everybody's insinuating, which it's kind of obvious, but he's saying he didn't get sued. And people were like racing to do that. So, yeah, and then so getting to today where Dr. Disrespect went live, he said he already said what he needed to say. I don't give an F about this guy. That's it. And so he started his stream. Then towards the end of his stream, and I'll let Buff and Blue talk on this too. I'll just try to get through the saga here real quick. It appeared that he got a message, and then at the end, he paraphrasing said, like, I think it might be time for me to drive off into the sunset, take a step back. He talked about being fatigued, tired of the internet and things like that, which I get. And then he said he also might need to distance himself completely from Midnight Society, making Dead Drop. And then it kind of left at a weird ending to his stream that he would kind of indefinitely take a break is what everybody understands from that. And then what like brought this to a fever pitch and where we're like, all right, we got to talk about this. Just like a couple hours ago, Midnight Society said, on Friday, we became aware of an allegation against our co-founder, Dr. Disrespect, who he assumed his innocence and began speaking with parties involved. And in order to maintain our principles and standards as a studio and individuals, we needed to act. For this reason, we are terminating our relationship with Guy Beam, that's Dr. Disrespect. While these facts are difficult to hear and even more difficult to accept, it is our duty to act with dignity on behalf of individuals involved, especially the 55 developers and families we have employed along with our community of players. So then it ends with that. There's a couple other buffs in over the 12 a.m. Central. One of the information sources for Midnight Society, an account is suspending their actions until things are kind of figured out. It raises a ton of questions from, will we ever get proof down to, did this happen? Did this not happen? To people jumping on sides. Like there's so many layers to this, down to all the way to what happens to the game, what happens to the developers. Like this game is probably going to be DOA at this point. So what happens to all those devs? What happens to the people that bought into the crypto thing and bought all the big high-end founders packs? Like there's just
they should have never done that in the first place, but that's been saying that for a while. But
yeah, so it's just it's just insane. So I think you guys can fill in anything I missed. I try to just kind of set the stage for what happened. So
no, that was pretty much it. Especially the Midnight Society kind of just like covering their ass. The weird part is that it started off like the statement saying that they needed to act, which is fine. They don't want to be part of the controversy, so I guess best to distance themselves. But at the same time, they went out and then say with these facts, well, while these facts are difficult to hear. So it's like, so
Yeah.
do you have proof? Are you willing to put that out there? If not, it's probably because it's under investigation, which would also make sense. So it's, again, just there's no clarification from either party. I would say the most clarification that we got was on Doc's side saying, like, I didn't do it pretty much, but everyone else is saying the parties that were involved are guilty, or some not guilty, but are saying, it's almost like he did do it. And if so, what did he do? I don't know. It's such a weird situation. And then I totally feel, if, like, again, what if this guy, and I'm trying to play both sides, if he is innocent, I could see why he would want to take a break, but if he isn't innocent, maybe he's just trying to get off the internet before shit rolls down the hill towards him. It's, I hate to go ahead and just say, like, told you so, but there's nothing to say because there's no evidence yet, and there's no trial. There's been money thrown out there. It's one of the weirdest situations. And again, we wouldn't have talking about it if it didn't affect Dead Drop, which now do people even care about the game if Doc's name isn't a part of Midnight Society? That's another thing. Are people going to be, even wanting to play the game if it ever does finish, development? And at that point, then what? I was already kind of weirded about the game when they introduced like cars into it, Yeah. Which I get, if you won the race, you were the first one to enter the map. It was just weird all in all, but it just, and then of course crypto attached to it. Just, I never really liked crypto in video games whatsoever. So yeah, it's, I don't know how you guys, I don't know how you feel, especially Buff, especially you.
I mean, so it's a tricky situation, but it's also pretty clear cut in my mind. Is obviously, if this ends up being true, like we said off the top, like, that's messed up.
Full extent of the law for sure.
Yeah, and screw him, and should never be able to, should never have a platform to do anything again. But all we have now are allegations. I mean, the way it's looking right now, I don't know what Midnight Society, I didn't look at, what their investor situation is, things like that. But I'm assuming whether it's people who are buying, crypto, buying these skins or whatever they're doing, there's investors on that project. So you think about like an IPO or something, like they would have a duty to protect, to do the best for their investors. And in this case, they're not an IPO, obviously, but they do have investors on whatever scale. And you also have a PR campaign here. Is if somebody's associated with this and ends up being proven guilty, and you stuck with that person, it looks bad. So so
they might pull out as well too.
As a separate entity, I'm not surprised that they are distancing themselves from him at all. I think that was kind of expected in my mind. I think that's typically what you see happen in like sexual assault allegations, things like that. Is everyone that's all sponsorships, things like that, all immediately cease and step back and let whatever is going to happen, so they're not associated with that person at the time. So I think that's what's going on with Midnight Society. Now, if you look at like his stream, if you guys look at it, there's a lot of clips out there of like the moment that it kind of changed. And so I think there was a point near the end of his stream where he looked down at probably his phone or something, and I'm assuming that's when his demeanor changed. Clearly, at that point, you could see it when you watch it. And then he, he's taking deep breaths. He paused the game. You can tell he's clearly flustered. And that's when he takes a little bit, composes himself, and then, slowly rolls out of the stream. But obviously, it seems to me like that's when he got a message on his phone or whatever from his associates at Midnight Society saying like, hey, this is what our decision. We're going to, we're going to make this public statement
basically
at
terminate your
X,
contract.
at X time, giving you a heads up. So I'm assuming that's what he read. And at that point, what are you going to do? Stay live on stream when this happens? Because he wants to not, he already made his statement on X, and you don't want more questions coming up. So, like, stepping back, letting it blow over, or whatever is going to happen. But right now, I think it's important to keep in mind. I see a lot of people, on X saying, like, oh, he's a pedo, leave the kids alone. What now? What now? Like, all this
I
crazy
knew
stuff.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, all this crazy stuff, and there's no proof. So you can't just come out. You need to, it's really weird. And I don't, it's the internet. A lot of people on the internet are kind of dumb. Let's be honest. But if you're ever gonna have like a real
Hey, I'm on the
job,
internet.
if you're gonna have like a real job and that's meaningful, where you're bringing in good money, like, you need to be a critical thinker and look at things objectively. You can't look at this situation and immediately go that he's innocent or guilty, because there's no evidence whatsoever to that. Do some of the events that have happened look bad with the Midnight Society stuff? Sure, but it's also expected in a situation like this. Like, that's not a surprise whatsoever that they stepped away from that. So we need to wait and see what happens. This was already the legal action already happened. He sued Twitch, and a settlement was agreed. We'll never know what that settlement was, but we do know that he was paid his full contract and there was NDAs signed. That's what we know, and that's probably all we'll never ever know about that situation. NDAs can last any amount of time that's specified in the document, typically 3 to 4 years, sometimes longer. So the fact that some random ex-employee is coming out now, just about 4 years later, who's not with the company anymore, just seems really strange to me, especially if he was alluding to stuff last year. Before, if there was a 4-year NDA, that 4-year NDA wouldn't have been up in 2023. So
yeah, and then he would be breaking NDA by telling people in person.
And if Doc can't talk about it, if Twitch can't talk about it, why are others allowed to talk about it? And if he already said there was an investigation and no wrongdoing, he also can't go into detail because of the NDA. So I know, like, other people, I saw like Keemstar making a video like criticizing him, and like, you sign an NDA, you have to be very careful with what you say and don't say. So you can't just come out and be like, oh, these allegations, you can't just be as blunt as people would want you to be given the legal ramifications. Because if you breach the NDA, all bets are off. Like, you null and void that, and he wants to obviously keep the money that he was paid. So if he were to breach the NDA, then that payout, I think he would, I don't know what would happen at that point, but he would get sued by Twitch or vice versa. So it's a very sensitive situation right now. But again, there's zero proof, and everything you're hearing from people that are saying that they know is all secondhand at best. Nobody, this guy, I don't know what his position was at Twitch, but he's saying like, oh, I know the reason because he was doing this, but he didn't see the messages. He heard something from somebody who probably heard something from somebody. So you don't know anything yet, and there's zero evidence. So again, if stuff comes out and that's what happened, then obviously that's one thing. But right now, there's no evidence. And the fact that there was an investigation, no wrongdoing, he was cleared, settlement, he was paid his whole contract. For right now, for what we know, that's all I need to know. Unless for some reason messages come out, which I don't think will happen, because there's NDAs. And I know that Corey guy or Cody guy, whatever, he had some deleted tweets saying that he was like sifting through the screenshots of the messages and stuff like that. I don't know how on earth a former Twitch employee would get documents of these messages that have already gone through the legal process, and whatever was going on is locked behind an NDA. So it just seems not very feasible to me.
Yeah, and I think we're all on the same page. Like, I'm not, trying to say he didn't do it. I'm not saying he did do it. I will wait until if anything actually comes out.
Know.
Yeah, I don't think
I don't think
see the
we're
messages.
over now. No.
But-
yeah.
but
And if
be
anything,
very-
there might be a lawsuit coming in on the most we'll probably see is a lawsuit, maybe it's on a guy on Twitter. But even then, I think Doc is just over it. If anything does happen, again, we don't know. So that's
Yeah, you got to, he's got a wife and a daughter. And the other thing you need to keep in mind here is like behind, he was away from streaming for what, a year and a half ish, I think it was. So if he was grooming or sexting a 15-year-old girl to meet her at TwitchCon, or he wouldn't be at TwitchCon, first off. Or it was at the time. It was at the time where he was still with Twitch. Okay, but I mean, all eyes would have been on Doc. When's he going to meet up with a 15-year-old girl? And also, if that is what happened, would his wife not have like been privy to this information after the fact of the ban and the law, all the legal back and forth that happened? And she's just like, oh, it's fine because I'm okay with that, and you can continue to raise and be around your daughter. It just doesn't make just so much.
Yeah,
weird
I don't know if we can get
there.
into like that's like. I mean, you're assuming a lot.
That's
People
theory
are
talk
weird,
at
man.
that point.
Like I don't know if you can say that because I mean he already did cheat on her once and she was like got over it, but because you don't know if she would stick around for the money. Like you don't know how people are.
Yeah, but I mean she's gonna get more in a divorce. I feel like. Plus, I mean, yeah, you're assuming. That's the thing is you're assuming now.
Yeah, now it's getting into like assumption theory.
There's no evidence, but also if there was an investigation, like Twitch, if there was sexting of minor, Twitch would have gone to the police. There would have been a police investigation that would have been brought to light at some point. I feel like so. There's more questions.
You would think, but you never know.
Yeah, there's more questions than anything right now. It just seems crazy to me. But I mean, again, if it's true, then we need to see some proof. That's the end of it. And people need to relax on the internet until you actually have proof, because this is someone's life that you're potentially ruining.
Yeah.
And that's, if this happened to any one of these people on the internet, they would be feeling very differently if they were falsely accused of something and the whole entirety of the internet's coming after them. So
yeah, so to try to add context to all that stuff, in regards to like the Midnight Society stuff, I was trying to think of a time because you guys said it's like it's normal for them to distance themselves from weird stuff. Mm-hmm. One of the things that came to my mind was the Justin Roiland thing with Adult Swim and Rick and Morty. So he was accused of like kidnapping his girlfriend or something crazy, and Adult Swim and like the producers and everybody at Rick and Morty separated. Like they fired him, took his show away. They made this last season with someone else, and then just like a few months ago or a year ago or something, all the charges got dropped and canceled because there wasn't sufficient proof. And then he's like, see, but he's already been canceled and like all that stuff happened. So it does happen. What you guys are saying with one of those situations was like Justin Roiland's one that came to my mind. And then the other thing that is so weird, and I just keep saying how it's weird, is how Midnight Society said like they assumed his innocence and began speaking with parties involved. And they said with these facts are difficult to hear and even more difficult to accept. So it's like they did some investigation and came up with something weird. And as far as like seeing proof, the way I understand things, I don't think we'll ever see proof one way or the other.
No.
And I'm going to carry on as such to where I just am okay with saying, I don't know. Like I'm not probably ever going to know, but I feel like it's not made public unless there's a court case, right? So a police investigation wouldn't be public. And if like they came across something that's weird, like why were you, like he didn't ever meet up with her or break like a felony or something, but like why were you doing that? It's never going to come out because like Dr. Disrespect could have paid their family, could have paid their parents, could have paid the person, and then that's like the settlement. So I don't know.
I also like it was like 8 months to a year after he was banned from Twitch, and he had made a tweet saying he still doesn't know why he's banned. And then eventually there was another tweet saying he's going to sue the F out of those purple snakes or whatever. That's not, I'm paraphrasing, but if you're banned for sexting a minor and going to meet up with them at Twitch, Um, and that isn't made clear. There's too many questions than there is any answers at this
Yeah,
point.
more
As a matter of
questions
fact,
came out of this.
yeah,
Yeah.
there's all questions. There's no answers whatsoever. But again, like you just said, Crash, as a company, if you have somebody like, especially with that name of Dr. Disrespect, you're going to distance yourself from that until you can't have the bad press. So this is a horrible example, but I will. I actually think it's a good example, but I think the situations are very different. So if anyone follows like wrestling, the whole Vince McMahon stuff that's been going on the past like 5 to 6 months or
Heard of
whatever
that.
it's
Yeah.
been, that there was evidence, text messages released, all this and that, all this crazy stuff. The allegations are insane and a little what that is what it is, but whatever. Going into the Royal Rumble in January, which is a pay per view or a PLE they call them now, multiple sponsors. This is like a week. Everything came out the week of the Royal Rumble leading up to. So sponsors like Slim Jim and others going the day before the Royal Rumble or the Friday before said that they were backing out and no longer going to be sponsors of WWE. And then at that point, WWE, whatever, said that they're no longer associating themselves with Vince McMahon, and Vince McMahon stepped down. And then Slim Jim and the other sponsors sponsored the event and sponsored the company going forward. So that's one example. Obviously, two very different situations, but it just shows like stakeholders, sponsors, especially them being an IPO. It's a very different situation. But again, Midnight Society does have investors at some level that they need to think about in situations like this and their public image. So,
Yep.
Yeah, and the only thing on this that I do know for sure is that people on social media, man, they're like sports fans rooting for this shit, and it kind of I think it kind of partially goes along political lines, which I totally don't understand how any of this is political, but
yeah,
like the people that hate Doc are like, oh yeah, yep, for sure did it. See, told you, knew he was a bad
Bro,
guy.
I got too much in my life to be worrying about this shit anyways, man. Like
yeah.
I don't, it's like at that point, I don't care. Like, I mean, it sucks if he's guilty. It sucks if he's innocent because he's going through a shit ton. But like, dude, for people that are out there just going off on
it doesn't affect
Twitch
any
and
of
Twitter
us in our day to day. Is at the end
exactly,
of the day.
exactly. Like
It's
people
just
are
drama. People love drama.
Yeah.
And then to finish that statement, you have people that love him and send him money all the time, saying, "We're standing with Doc. We stand with Doc. We know he didn't do it." It's like the only thing we know is that we don't know.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
What happens to the game, man? Like I think that I was already like blue, and we talked about it on the show a lot, especially after that one of those last trailers with like the cars and stuff. They're like, what kind of game even is this anymore?
Yeah, we were all very confused.
I thought it was I thought it was a battle royale of some sort, and then the cars just don't make. I mean, I guess that's their way of dropping into the map, is racing to the map. So the first person who wins the race, I believe, gets the chance to get better loot. Yeah, I just thought the way the game looked, it was just way too early to even. It was way too early for anyone to even put money into it. I mean, you were playing in gray and white box levels. That's it, with very bare bone weapons, and bare bone game mechanics. It's just, I think the most interesting part of it was that it was the level would eventually shrink upwards. So you had to like basically climb up.
Right, it was a vertical VR basically.
Yeah, it's just just the whole PR marketing behind it of him saying that VR marketing, VR, not VR, virtual, fucking hell, jeez, vertical BR, jeez.
There you go, you got it.
Today, anyways, I'm tired. So I got my energy drink, but yeah, I just wasn't. It wasn't a game for me because, dude, when I first saw like the first weapon they showcased was like that weird space futuristic M16 with like.
That was weird as heck to me too. Yeah,
and they were off center, and it was just like like, look, if you're gonna put out a product, even if it's early access, fix it, iron sights. Like, it was like curved in like the weirdest way possible, and it was supposed to be an M16 of some sort. I don't know. It was just dumb from the beginning, and I just didn't really care about it. So, also, I think battle royale, the trend at that point, may have been popular for some. I thought it was dead or dying off at least by that time.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
I thought shooters were the next thing, and now look who we are: extraction shooter after extraction shooters coming up.
Yeah,
we're doing it all
big
over
guys
again.
not coming.
Dude, I was like, oh, Doc's making a BR, like he's played a ton of them, so he might understand like to make a good one. And then I was like, okay, they're letting people play early and help shape the development process. This might be cool. And then like the direction it went was just such a buzzkill to me.
Yeah.
Like that I completely lost interest in it. I think a lot.
I
of
just
people
thought
did
it was
too.
like he said he designed some maps on Call of Duty back in the day, correct?
Advanced Warfare, yeah.
Advanced Warfare, and then he made that map for Rogue Company, you know. And look, and it's not a dog bashing stream. First of all, I'm just saying, I just don't care. Everyone, I just like, I mean, I guess I care a little bit because it's in the FPS news genre that we cover, but I just. It was a game I didn't really care for, but a lot of people did. A lot of people put a lot of money into it.
Well, I think a lot of people cared for it mainly because Doc was back in it, and to see what it was going to become. Which again, it's hard to judge a game because we never saw what it was supposed to be, or we haven't seen it yet. And I think what they were doing.
I love the timeline, the era. I love that cyberpunk feel. You know, I'm a big fan of futuristic neon lights, that's his whole vibe, and I enjoy that aspect. So
what I really think happened with the game, from what I could tell and from playing the snapshots and stuff, was like they took innovation too far. Like they needed to take battle royale and like innovate on a few things. Like the vertical thing was kind of a cool idea. Maybe have like a fire burning up where you have to move to the top, and like the last one standing
that
on
would
the
have
roof
been
like
kind of cool.
I thought that concept was cool, but then they took it to adding the crypto, and they took it to adding car racing. Like doesn't make any sense. And I just feel like they tried to innovate so much that it got like it kind of lost its direction. From my opinion.
Yeah,
I'm not bashing on Doc.
No
I'm literally talking
cohesive.
About the game, not the guy.
There was just no cohesive story. I mean, we're bashing on the development of the game for Midnight Society, not Doc. So it's again, I just, oh well. that's all we could say at this point.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
I mean, at the end of the day, I think to sum it up here, there needs to be some sort of evidence. You can't just come out and accuse everyone of like, I can't just go accuse some random dude in the street of being a pedo without like some sort of evidence to this. So there needs to be something that comes forward or whatever. I don't think we're going to get any of that. I think, and maybe if I eat my words, I'll completely be like, I was totally wrong, whatever. But I don't think anything else is going to come out with this. I think we kind of said that. I think if the NDA, depending on what's going on with the NDAs and stuff like that, it seems like obviously Dog is probably still under NDA, which I assume then Twitch is, and anybody else around that who would have had knowledge of what the reason was, whatever it is, would still be under NDA at this point. Otherwise, Doc would have came out and said specifically like the allegations of this, and this that were alleged over the weekend are not true. No, and with his hands tied legally, he said what he could say. That means he's still under NDA. So everyone else should be. I don't think we're going to get anything else groundbreaking on this anytime soon. And
I'm going to go back to not caring.
Yeah, it doesn't impact any of us in our day to day. I don't watch Doc. I do think some of his content, like over the years I've watched here and there, like clips, YouTube videos, he's a funny dude for sure. But I'm not watching him. Yeah, like I'm not watching. Entertainer. He is very entertaining, but I'm not watching his streams, nor am I donating money to him. But yeah, like watching some of his videos here and there, like he's hilarious when he's doing, very entertaining for sure. But again, no matter what happens with this, it doesn't affect any of us.
All right. Agreed. So to move on, let's bash some more games, guys. Let's just keep the negative train rolling. Blue
That's
blood.
us. We're always negatives.
Yep, that's us. If you want to come here, get pissed off and depressed, welcome
I'm
to the
tired of it, Grandpa. That's too damn bad.
Man, a couple games got canceled. A couple games got canceled recently that I feel like we kind of called. Like I've had trepidation with a lot of these games that we played and stuff. The first one that's a little weird and not without a little bit of drama as well. Boundary, the 0G PvP shooter, which I didn't realize this. They sold 100,000 copies on day one, so somebody made some money somewhere. It's being shut down, and what is really weird about this is that the publisher Skystone Games is blaming the developer, and Surgical Scalpels, the developer, is blaming the publisher. It's so weird. So I don't know what's going on. He said,
she said.
Yeah. So again, it's another thing that we don't really know on what's going on behind the scenes. But Boundary is going to be no more. What were the Steam chart numbers? I wonder if it's popped up because it got canceled. But I wondered.
I don't know. Well, just for the people that don't know what Boundary is, what happened?
Five players currently. 5.
Nice. Okay. What was the peak though? 15K.
15,000.
Okay. I mean, look, I'm okay. So Boundary, for people who don't know, it was almost a not, I guess, somewhat tactical Call of Duty's like shooter in space that had 0 gravity, so you can move up, down, left, right, sideways, 360, upside down. You had space AKs and space pistols, space sniper rifles. Everything was all spaced out. I remember that was like one of the first. It was all spaced out. I remember, and it was really cool. I thought the premise was pretty dope because even like shooting in space, it wasn't 100% scientifically accurate.
No sound.
There'd be no sound, but I mean, just like the muffled, sound of it seemed kind of cool. I thought the maps for what they had, even though they were very limited, was kind of cool. I just thought it was also kind of basic. There, I remember playing the playtest and the closed beta and stuff like that, and having a good time. I was getting kills. I was, able to push the enemy back. I was really enjoying the fighting in there because, it's a game where it's like, oh, I can just watch this alley and be okay. But in Boundary, the guy can come from like above you, looking right at you, and take you out with one shot, for sniper rifle or something like that, or a really good shots. And then of course, like, it was funny because then like when your guy died, he would basically like burst into a bubble, like almost like saving the body.
Yeah.
So it was pretty cool. But again, they released into early access. They said they would be in early access for I think like 6 to 12 months. And then in those 6 to 12 months, they basically shut down. So it's like, hey, we didn't finish it. But then again, now you're saying, well, I saw as well too, and I was watching Big Fred's video as well. The whole publisher is blaming the developer is saying they won't release it back to us so we can continue it. I mean, 100,000 copies sold, but only 15,000 peak players. Also, they were going to be coming to console, and I thought this would be a good console game. They were getting ready for PlayStation 5. And I thought this would have been really cool to play, on console as well too. Again, there was no more content coming out that was planned right away. The skins, that's all there really was: skins, cosmetics, stuff like that. I don't think there was a bomb mode or ranked mode either. So there wasn't any one life modes either. It was all just your basic, domination style, team deathmatch, and stuff like that. So, and it was only like a couple maps and a couple weapons. So, other than that, I mean, again, the concept was great. The gameplay was fun, but it lacked content and it just wasn't pushed out. I think because of it, because there was definitely YouTubers covering it. Big YouTubers were showcasing it. Yeah. Tomographic, Level Cap, Fry, freaking I think I saw Jack Frags play it as well too. Maybe I could be wrong about that, but a lot of big YouTubers out there were covering it, and doesn't just because a YouTuber covers your game doesn't mean your game's gonna succeed.
Yeah, and I will say I had receipts on the show, to where I did not think the game was going to do well when I played it, and I honestly kind of liken this game to Body Cam as kind of like a cool novelty, like they tried to innovate, but the depth isn't there. And I think a couple of the things that really they limited themselves with some of the core pillars of the game design, and that is in space. So all the maps are space, and you're fighting around things that look the same. There's no like variety to any of the settings you're in. So every map looks and feels pretty much the same.
They could have done it too, where it was like, oh, sorry.
I was just gonna say they could have done some stuff where they fought like near different planets and maybe had like space stations where you had some gravity, and then you could like jump out and be in space and move around for flanks and stuff. And that would have helped solve. Yeah, and that would have then helped solve my next issue with the game. And that is, in an arena shooter, there was no flow, readability, or predictability to the gunfights, dude. You could get shot from literally anywhere, not just 360 degrees horizontally, but like 360 orbital 3D degrees.
In 3D space.
I mean, you could get shot from literally anywhere, and it got pretty frustrating pretty quick. So I think it was just like a cool idea, and I appreciate innovation in the space always. I said that as well, but it just didn't have the staying power, in my opinion. Did you ever play it, Buff?
No, I did not. Never got to it. I thought it looked really interesting. I was kind of looking forward to, getting hands on at some point. But I guess that's not going to happen.
Yeah, too bad.
Well, we don't know yet either, because apparently they said if the developer does get their hands back on it, maybe it'll continue and they'll just publish it themselves. So I'm curious what would happen if it did come to console as well too. And if it does, I wonder what that audience would.
I think it would be really good on console for sure.
I think so too, because of the joysticks. It might be a little bit different there.
Easier,
just
more sense.
Just floating around,
because it was kind of it was pretty wonky with keyboard and mouse, and then you think kind of like controllers and stuff play better on like flight sim games and stuff, and it makes sense that it might feel better on a controller,
right? Because you had like Q and E and stuff like that to kind of roll, and then you had to swing your mouse all the way around and look down, and it was a lot.
Yep. The other one that got axed, and I'm a little bit bummed this didn't make it all the way because we did some of the playtest, was Alara Prime. So this was like a 4v4v4, more like Siege and Valorant mixed together, in my opinion, if you're trying to come up with an analogy.
A little bit of Counter-Strike-ish.
Yeah, I had the Counter-Strike shooting. But in the playtest, and what I think was going to be launching soon, was only 2 maps. That was my biggest downfall with the game. As well as it was the gameplay itself was not apparent from looking at the game itself. And that is to say, it looked like CSGO and it looked like Valorant, but there was a ton, and I like this about it, there was a shitload of depth to the game, like how the gadgets interacted, like how the guns played off of each other, and the guns themselves had some abilities that counteracted other ones, and there was a ton of depth there that just really wasn't apparent at the beginning. But what happened was the Fragbite group files bankruptcy for Fall Damage. So that's who purchased Fall Damage, with the studio of former DICE developers, like 7 or so months ago was when they purchased them. And then they went ahead and like filed bankruptcy, basically saying that Alara Prime could not find a publisher. Fall Damage was trying to find a publisher for the game. That didn't happen, and therefore they weren't able to pay their bills. But a lot of people were speaking favorably of the game. The gameplay loop itself, I was on board with, but I didn't have a good feeling about this game either, mainly because I don't know how you work that long on a game and only have 2 maps. And I don't mean that with any disrespect. No pun. But I just don't, and I'm an idiot. Like I'm not a developer. I'm stupid. But I just feel like the Buff's like, yep, he's dumb. He doesn't know what he's talking about.
He's kind of dumb. No, I'm just
I'm
kidding. The Crash is way better at YouTube and anything than I am. So
that's subjective.
No, I suck at YouTube.
Same. I just babble like I am now, much like I'm doing right now. That you should put the number of maps a little bit higher on your priority list. I feel like 2 maps
Definitely.
for an arena shooter is wild to launch with, and I could really see them going to a publisher and be like, hey, we got this cool game, and the publisher's like, cool, tell me more. It's like, we're releasing with 2 maps. All right, have a great day. Like, thanks for your time. I feel
yeah, that's another thing that Team Maps brings up another good point. There was money involved, like a crowd. I remember like talking about this, and they had the developers, they had the team. Maybe they put too much time into the gadgets. I don't know, but I wasn't a fan of Counter-Strike, and I'm still kind of not a fan. I just didn't really like the simplicity and the weird shooting mechanics. But for some reason, this game kind of like brought, like, I remember like when we were in the playtest and we were like sitting there waiting to everyone joining, and I was just sitting in like the training range and like just going around shooting. It didn't feel as like what's the word, like random when it came to the recoil. You know, so I don't know, it just felt a little bit different. And then the gadgets are cool. I remember like what made me excited for it was those clutch moments when it came down to like a 2v1 situation. Someone has to go and defuse that weird pillar bomb that was about to go off, you know, and you knew, like, you were spectating, and it could have been like a 1v1v1 situation too. I think I remember that, where it was like,
yeah,
each player from each team was still alive, and it was anybody's game still at that point.
Game.
And yeah, and that's what you know. I was really excited for it, and yeah, and you can ADS as well too. So I was really looking forward to it. That sucks, man.
But if I remember right, if you ADS with the gun, it behaved differently. Like I thought
it did, but also limited to your movement as well too.
Yeah, I kind of wish I wish somebody would make a game that's essentially like CS:GO, but with more modern shooting
real
mechanics.
Yeah.
I don't know why that hasn't been done.
Yeah.
Like if you make, yeah, exactly. Like if you make a game that's like CS, but like that's like military, dark, gritty style with like cool, like PMC style cosmetics, and it's a bomb defusal mode, like T versus CT would be perfect. And then just have like the more traditional like Battlefield or Call of Duty, or, you know, traditional ADS style of gunplay. Why make it simple and then focus on a bunch of maps and balancing it really nicely in a ranked mode? Why would that'd be like my dream game? And I don't know why nobody's done it when you look at Apex, CS, and Valorant as the top arena shooters, and they're all like that, but no one's made like a modern style CS. Like what? It seems obvious to me, but I'm again an idiot. So yeah, those games we kind of called. In light of Buff's commitment, let's push up the Delta Force discussion, if you don't mind. I think that'd be pretty good.
Delta Force,
because I want to hear what Buff has to say on the subject. We're getting close to a play test. Why we're talking about it today, Buff put out a new video, and if you guys didn't know, the nerd in Buff Nerd Gaming is because this guy knows firearms. Okay, so if you're interested in that as well, he did a video over on his channel that you should check out, talking about all the firearms that have been showcased so far in Delta Force, and they went through reload animations. And kind of, what did you think of them, Buff? I'll play the video now. Like, what was your take on it?
Yeah, I mean, they looked great, especially because I covered some of the like weapons, I want to say a month or two ago. Kind of that the animations were shown then, and these are like very different. So they did a whole rework here, which is nice. And if you guys wanted to go watch the video, it's on my channel. This is like my first time. This is my live reaction to the first time watching it through also. So I'm just, speaking about the weapons, all off the top of my head. So that, yeah, Crash is right. I do know a lot about guns. So you'll hear my live opinions on them and some of the attachments. But yeah, I thought the animations looked awesome. Definitely a huge rework from what they showed. I want to say it was probably 2 months ago, I think was the last time we saw some stuff. So a huge improvement from what I can see. You're also getting they're showing this Whoa. Guy, Fire Mountain is the guy's name, who his link to his channel is under this video on my page, Fire Mountain and he's been covering a little bit of this too. So this is his video, and he's showing the base weapon, so we saw the AKM, and now we're seeing the AKM built out
Modified
through the gunsmith. So he's showing for pretty much everyone the base gun and then a kitted out version that you can create in the
How the hell
game.
would he put a bipod on a weapon that had a red dot? No, I was kidding.
Yeah, he makes some weird ones here. So, but it just goes to show, he's got like some rifles with just like canted mounts on them with RMRs or something off the top pick rail. So like some weird builds, but it shows you kind of the extent of the customization with this.
I'm excited for that because of that, seeing that.
Yeah,
Look at the thumbnail possibilities, Blue.
Yeah.
With the inspect, man.
Let's go, dude. I got hammered. By the way, recently, someone was like, "Oh, look, this guy." Someone was like, "Oh, great, another gun thumbnail," and then the reply on that underneath that was like, "This guy does that all the time."
Why do you do it, Blue? Do people click on it or something?
Maybe I just do it just to mess with them at this point. But wait,
weird,
Delta Force comes out, I'm gonna put so many gun thumbnails.
Do you know?
Oh, that's great. Yeah,
Easy looks good too.
And you get the shooting range here too. So this is another big thing that
Yeah.
like you're in you're in kind of the shooting range here. So there's dummies over there that he's not using, but yeah, I mean it looks awesome. They also added some new guns, which when I'm going through this, I kind of highlight which ones those are as I'm seeing them. So it's looking really, really promising. I'm really excited for this game.
Yeah, the animations are crazy. Like they're not, they might not be too realistic, but like flipping the round on the receiver and then like flipping it up and dropping it in the.
It's cool, right? It's
cool,
very unique. It's really unique. And I think that's cool. Just people were complaining. I think the last time we saw the animations that they were like copy and paste from Call of Duty, essentially is what people were saying. So here they've gone through and kind of done a full rework.
Real quick, guys, I got a emergency phone call. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, all good.
All right. Sorry about that, guys.
Godspeed.
So some really good animations here, which is pretty sweet. So
it feels like a graphical upgrade too, like because I remember thinking the game looked kind of mobily, but this looks like really clean.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't think they're done yet either, because they said in the blog post that they did 3 months ago or whatever, along with reworking the animations, they were going to work on like making not only the environments, but the weapons look more gritty and things like that, like used and worn, which I think we'll end up seeing by the time the game releases. You're not seeing that here. But another thing, like with some of the animations, I know some people pointed out in the comments for my video is like the first weapon we saw here was the XM7 or the spear. And like you can see he's taking the magazine, putting it in his carrier and taking out a fresh one. For some of these animations, which is, that's really cool attention to detail for sure, is taking it out of your vest. You can see him reach and grab it, which you don't see in the.
Yep, it's sweet.
The last time I covered the game, this is going to be a live service game. They're going to have like seasons, I believe is how they're doing it. They haven't really come out and said it yet, but you're gonna have I think the customization here is insane. It's Tarkov arena breakout level, if not more than that, with the amount of attachments you can use. So this is gonna be a really fun game for sure.
How many guns were there in this video, like do the whole thing?
In this one there was like 40 something, I think it was. But they're not showing launchers and things like that also. So I don't know what the total count is. Before, I think there was 42 or 47 with some of the launchers. So with this one, they added some additional primaries, but they're not showing the launchers here. So, whatever that final count's going to be when it releases, I don't know. But they did add new primaries since the last time I did a weapon video on. So who knows how many more they could potentially add before launch, and especially they're adding new attachments every update that they're doing here with these tests also, which is
that's a lot of guns. I didn't realize there was that many guns.
Yeah, yep.
Man,
super impressive, right?
I hope it's good. I hope the gameplay's good. I hope the abilities aren't too crazy, and I think like given like how Tencent Studios operate, I think that it feels like the extraction mode is going to be a lot like DMZ.
That's what I think. It feels like what I think those of us that play DMZ wanted it to be, which is like an actual extraction shooter. Yeah, I think it's gonna be a really good mode. I know IGN got some hands on with the game, all modes, and they were kind of praising it too. So I'm really excited for this one.
Yeah, I did watch that around Summer Game Fest. There were some folks from IGN and another place that actually got to play it, and they talked about how, yeah, it reminded them
Yeah.
of DMZ and stuff like that.
Yep.
DMZ never really got out of beta, technically, did it? Like, it was just the beta the whole year, and then they axed it.
Yeah, pretty sad because the game had a lot of potential. So I think this is when I see all the gameplay from Hazard Operations, you can find a lot out there on the internet. This is what I wanted to see DMZ as in an end state. So they're starting out in a full-fledged extraction shooter, which is what you would have expected. So
Yep, it'll be cool to see if they can pull that off, to get all three modes, right? Like the campaign, then the extraction, and the Havoc warfare.
Right. Yeah.
All together would be.
I think they're gonna do it. I mean, they've been testing it extensively since the end of they've been testing it since about a year now straight, and then making improvements. So they've been having play tests. So it's not like they're just rushing development and throwing something out there. Like, they're holding a lot of different play tests.
Yeah.
For this, which is promising. It shows that they actually care about the product.
Yep.
And they know they have a niche in the market that they can fill here. So I think that's important. If they do it right, this is going to be potentially the most popular game of the year. Compete easily. Like, there's no Battlefield, but it's taking the place of Battlefield with that multiplayer mode, and could compete with Call of Duty in some aspects, but especially the extraction shooter, they're capitalizing on that, and they're doing it right. They're not just rushing something out. So,
yep, it looks really cool. I'm impressed. I'm impressed with the amount of guns and like the quality of them.
Yeah, they look great, and there's a good amount of them. And the customization, and like you can see it in that video, what the guy does just shows how extensive it is.
Yes. Sorry, I'll stop watching it and move on with the show. Yeah, the last thing we're going to talk about, and Buff, if you got to go, just holler whenever you're.
Nah, it's all right. It's all right. I got you.
Holler when you got to bail. I wanted to talk about a quick little Battlefield rumor. There's not much here, honestly. It might be like the first time that we get to understand a little bit about it. The project. So this is on Gaming Leaks and Rumors Reddit. A casting call for Battlefield. I guess we're calling it Battlefield 7. I don't know what you want to call it, but the project is called Timeless Fields. The storyline, Timeless Fields, is an action-adventure military-themed game. Casting for the following role. It says a 25 to 35-year-old Slavic woman, accent, authentic Croatian, Bosnian, or Serbian, special forces operator. Rosanda was always an outcast as the child of two different ethnic backgrounds in Croatia. A tactician of remarkable mental and physical courage, she commands respect and attention, can be impatient and despises weakness, fit, athletic, and able to move with a prop weapon easily. Required, must speak Croatian and or Bosnian and or Serbian. So we can kind of see where potentially some of the game might take place in that part of the world, as well as a special forces operator from that region. I hope this is something going along with maybe like campaign coming back and not a specialist. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, it's gonna be they're just getting this voice actor for specialist lines. You know,
You don't
that's
say
just
that,
how
Blue.
it is sometimes.
Yeah, you shut your mouth, Blue. Don't ruin this for us.
Yeah, Buff's just gonna punch his camera, go offline, and go watch hockey.
I just wonder.
I can't handle it. I can't take another Battlefield flop. That'll be it. I'll be done.
To be honest, if this one does kind of follow in line with a 2042 launch, yeah, I
the
100%
put
it down completely. Yeah.
Yeah,
I will say, I mean, Timeless Fields too. Like, I don't know.
I think that's just like a code name for the project,
They always give
Yeah,
their project names, you know, very like it'll be like completely left field compared to what it actually is about.
Right. Right.
So.
Yeah, first comment on Reddit says, I'm praying this is for a single player character and not specialist returning to multiplayer.
Yep.
Please, let's go.
Exactly. Well
Fingers
said.
crossed.
Well said, Camerono 1. Yeah. You got it figured out. There's been a couple other things. People said that in Battlefield they hired ex-military people, and that made people worry that they're gonna make a milsim. That's ridiculous.
That was so dumb.
That was so dumb.
When
I saw that.
I was gonna say something about that on Twitter. I was like, I don't care enough because they've been doing that forever. They've been hiring veterans since like Battlefield 2.
Yeah.
There's been a program specifically to hire veterans. That's all it is. They're not going in and hiring special force advisors, to make sure that this is how the game is gonna run. This isn't gonna be America's army or America's like proving ground field. It's just to get veterans work. That's all it is. Which I'm 100% for. So
and all these like you just said, they've always had military, ex-military, like people advising it.
Yeah, and to be honest, it doesn't hurt to have someone that might know what they're talking about when it comes to military lingo or weapons or uniforms.
Right.
Take Battlefield 3 for instance. That campaign with the Marines and having their uniforms set up and stuff.
Yeah, are you saying there's military in Battlefield games? Is that
before
the
dark
that you're
times,
revealing?
Before the dark times.
Before the dark times.
Yeah, for the Empire.
I like how you put it.
There was a
Before the
moment
dark
in
times.
history when Battlefield did have some military aspects to it, but not
Back in the
ladies
day.
with claws and whatever the heck it is now, flying wingsuits, but
So if I'm putting on my old Crash hat where I used to really get into Battlefield leaks, some other things that I would think about is this kind of tells us that I feel like potentially campaign's probably coming back. This feels like a campaign thing. But if I take that thought even a little bit of a step further, the game is supposed to come out next year. Why are we just now getting people for the campaign? That's a little sus. Because they should be.
They're 3 months ahead. They're 3 months ahead. You guys don't realize this is old
Battlefield's
news.
ever been done before. This is great. It's on track. It's ahead of schedule. We've never seen anything like it. It's a big, beautiful, tremendous Battlefield. Dude, like, I don't know.
Nice.
That's the question I have. Like, if we're really making a campaign for a game that comes out next year, why are we just now getting the actual
That is a bit, you know what? Now, it's a bit worrying now. Now that you said that, I didn't even think about that, and now I'm even more sad. Damn it, Crash! Why did you have to be?
Dude, I've just been let down by Battlefield so many times. I seek out the negative, and I'm usually right when it comes to this franchise in the last couple of years, man.
That's true, though. I mean, this is like, well, also, where does this leak come from, too, as well?
Gaming
I'm also
leaks and rumors.
curious about that. I know,
It's
but is it like
proven track record?
it's
not.
proven track record? Okay, it's not like a trust me, bro source.
Yeah.
Okay. So. We'll see. I'm still waiting on that World War III game that they were working on. You guys remember that? they were hiring for another video game, Farm 51, that was supposed to be a milsim type shooter. They said so.
Yeah.
I don't remember. Wait. Oh,
They were the same. There was a job listing for another game designer.
I saw that. Yeah,
and it was specifically for. Yeah, look, everyone makes fun of me for thinking about World War III, but like, I just want Battlefield. Dude, I just want a Battlefield game, man. Delta Force, as much as I love Delta Force and the way it looks, and I'm excited for the weapon customization. If Battlefield came out and hit it out the ballpark and was just amazing, I would drop everything and go back to playing Battlefield. 100%.
All I would play.
Exactly.
Man. Yeah, I would. If they released Battlefield 3 not even remastered, like redone. They just redid the game today. That's all I would play. That's all I would play. Yeah, that's all I would play. That's the only game that was my gaming peak of just like the most fun I've ever had. Running the servers, we'd have our own servers, multiple servers, and you could get in have our own private servers for just like going in and practicing stuff. And then we had, I had full servers back in the day. running on BF3 and BF4. Like that was the best time in gaming for me. So I want to get back there from a Battlefield standpoint.
Yeah. I'm curious too who they because I remember like back in the day they used to have like some pretty high end names for these Battlefield campaigns as well too. Some pretty good like A-list actors and actresses. So it'd be really cool if they get someone pretty. If it is a campaign, it's always cool to see like Hollywood actors and actresses get into like game voiceovers. I always thought that was like a really cool aspect when it came to voice acting.
Yeah.
Yeah, like see, I remember like just like little things. I remember like Halo 3 had some of the coolest voice actors playing like the most random, Marine 1 and level 3. It was like just for one line, and it would be just because they wanted to be a part of the project. And I don't feel like you get that nowadays, even with like I'm still hoping Bad Company to make a comeback. They literally left it on the cliffhanger in Bad Company 2.
They should do Bad Company 3. That should be what they do.
Yeah, man. It was literally right there in front of them. Everyone thought that's what it was going to be. And then Battlefield 4 came out, and Battlefield 5 came out. It just never happened. So, yep.
Very sad, very sad. But I'm going to need to drop, guys. So do you want to, if you guys got to keep going, you can take me out, or how do you want to do it?
What do you
I'm
think,
good.
Blue?
I'm pretty good, to be honest. I don't want to go off on another Battlefield tangent. Yeah,
we could get into that again. Let's just call it a show while all three of us are here. We'll say bye to you guys. Yeah, I think we covered everything. We'll be back next week. Thank you guys so much. If you want to support the show, be a friend, tell a friend. Shout out to the podcast listeners. Leave us a review if you have time. And again, just thank you guys so much for being here. We love you all, and can't wait for next Monday, where we will see you then. Have a good week.
Go Oilers.
Bye guys.
Bye.